Now, since I'm a retired teacher, that means that I get to ask questions too. So as we start this walk today, my first question for you is, why do we call it the Black Hills? So let's go this way.
Here we are at Mount Rushmore, taking a walk through the Black Hills on our own guided tour. Beautiful day in South Dakota. So if you guys could kind of scoot around here a little bit, and then each time I stop, I have a couple of favors to ask. One is that we have a lot of other folks that need to get by us, so if you could leave a little pathway for them, that would be super. Okay, so who has an answer for me? Why do we call it the Black Hills?
Because of the tree.
Yes. Do you want me to answer?
Go ahead.
I think because there's some certain kind of ivy that grows on the hill, so from like a faraway distance, the trees make the hills look black or something.
That's absolutely right. And that tree is called the ponderosa pine. And if you turn around and
The
look
ponderosa pine
here,
causes a
what you're
shade
looking at are
over the
ponderosa
hill.
pines.
Therefore,
They
they're
have a
called the
very
Black
dark
Hills.
bark, and they have a dark green needle. So when you look at them from a distance, frequently the hills look black. Now the Native Americans have been in this area for over 1,000 years. And they call the area Pahasapa, which translates to Black Hills. Now, they lived pretty peacefully here until the mid-1800s. All of a sudden, we had all kinds of settlers moving through, going to Oregon, going to California, and there were lots of hostilities between the two groups. In 1868, we had the Fort Laramie Treaty, which was signed between the Lakota Sioux and the U.S. government. It basically said that the Black Hills belonged to the Lakota forever. And the U.S. cavalry was to keep everybody else out. Well, that didn't last very long. The U.S. government has a history of breaking treaties, and in 1874, along comes George Armstrong Custer with a huge expedition in here, looking for all kinds of things. Amongst them were gold. There have been rumors that there was gold here. They found it. They found lots of it. And within 2 years, there were 10,000 people in here looking for gold. In 1877, Congress said they were just going to ignore the treaty. They couldn't get all the people out, so they were going to just ignore it. It took a long time, but in 1980, the Lakota got the issue before the U.S. Supreme Court, and Justice Blackmun, in his decision, said it was the most outrageous thing he had ever seen the U.S. government do, said it was too late to get the land back, but he awarded them $120 million. That was 1980. Fast forward to today, and that $120 million is almost $1 billion. It is sitting in a trust because the Lakota didn't want the money. They wanted the land. This area is considered sacred to them, and it always has been. So, the younger generation is starting to realize that there's no way they're going to get the land back. But that $1 billion could go a long ways towards fixing some of the ills that are on the reservations today. They have 80% unemployment, all kinds of social problems. That money could help. So it's not settled. It's still controversial, but that's the first piece of the puzzle as we start to talk about Mount Rushmore. Now, we're going to go down here about 2 benches, and we're going to stop again And my question for you is, why carve a perfectly good mountain anyway?
Really? Tourism is my guess.
Let Dad answer that one. Yeah, you answer it. You're the man. You're the one. Yeah, but they wanted to put this place on the map. That's why they chose this place. And this particular permit didn't crumble. It was the right premise.
That's a very shiny rock, and you see it all over in here. And that's one of the things that you have to find if you're going to find gold. And so it's here, but there's no gold right here. Okay, we're going to stop right in here. If I could get some of you to scoot down this way just a little bit, that would be helpful. If you guys could let the lady in the wheelchair kind of scoot in here a little bit so she can see and hear, that would be appreciated. Thank you. Okay. So, why carve them out? Because you can. Because you can. Somebody else said because it's there. Well, actually, the reason is you. In 1923, Doane Robinson, who was the state historian for South Dakota, heard about this mountain that was being carved down in Georgia called Stone Mountain.
Yeah.
And Judson Borglum was the sculptor down there. And so he thought that, you know, we have lots of stone and rocks here in the Black Hills. We could do something like that. So he invited him out. He comes out here. They originally started looking at the needles, which are about 10 miles away. And Borglum looked at those and said that they were too narrow and too far deteriorated to really do anything with them. So they looked around and kind of finally settled on Mount Rushmore. It has a very dense, hard granite that is estimated to deteriorate at a rate of about an inch in 10,000 years. So it's going to be there a long time. Well, Borglum had to go back to Georgia and finish the project that he was working on down there. He goes back there, proceeds to get into an argument with the people that are running it, and gets fired. Well, that doesn't make him very happy, so he takes his models and pushes them off the top of the mountain, literally destroying them. That didn't make the folks down there very happy, so they literally chased him out of Georgia with a sheriff on his tail. But he was available to come to South Dakota. South Dakotans knew that working with him was not easy. He had a huge ego and thought he could do everything. But it takes some of that to carve a mountain. So they had to separate the business side of Mount Rushmore from the sculpting side, and they were pretty successful for quite a while. The project started in 1927, it concluded in 1941. During all of those years, they always had trouble with money. Getting it. They did nickels and dimes from school kids. They sold pieces of rock. They sold memberships. They did everything they could. The first money that came from the federal government was matching. So for every dollar they got from the federal government, they had to raise $1. And that was pretty easy, not necessarily really easy, but between 27 and 29, they were pretty successful. 1929 was the start of the Depression. So after that, they couldn't raise private money at all, and it was all federal grants. The total project was $987,000. About $150,000 of that was private. Now, we're going to go down here to the corner, and my question for you is, who got to choose the presidents?